Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko and I'm here with Terri Morrow. Say hi, Terri.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast we talk about parenting issues, but once a week Terri and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. Although, as usual, all of our entertainment has a parenting piece
That's
to
right.
it.
We can't get away from it.
So this week we started season 5, otherwise known as the non-Sorkin era of The West Wing. Yes. And for our challenge round, we watched a movie sequel that came along 14 years after the original.
People were clamoring for it for 14 years. And finally they said, all right.
But first, we continue with our Trophy Wife watch, the most directly parental thing. So we watched 2 episodes, one called Foxed Lunch and the other one Happy Bert Day.
Yeah.
So Foxed Lunch, Jackie had yet another business idea. I believe she said this was like number 63 or something. And this one somehow grabbed Kate's interest and she decided to try to work on this idea with Jackie to predictably disastrous result.
Which everybody on the show plus everybody in the audience was going, no.
Don't do that, Kate.
This will not end well.
Yes.
Even Jackie was kind of saying no. She just wanted the check is all.
The check made out to cash.
Exactly.
Which Kate didn't even blink at giving her.
No.
So, yeah. This was fun with I just liked the fox, car decor and the fox ear headbands that they wore.
The marketing was all very good.
Right.
Follow through on the lunch end, not so much.
And we did get a tiny visit with Natalie Morales.
Mm-hmm. And she is apparently no longer with Tevin.
Right. She considered it in the span of, 15 seconds. She was like, maybe. No.
Right. No. But she'll hit him up for free.
Yes, exactly. So, what else did you think of this one or the other one, which was Happy Bert Day, in which Kate throws a party for Bert and also tries to get in with the soccer moms who turn out to be awful. So,
yeah.
I thought there was a little bit of contradiction. Yeah. Not that, this is what you're watching for, but, in Fox Lunch, Kate was all like, I need to do something for myself. I need to, have my own identity. But then in the very next episode, it was all about, I want mom friends and I want to throw a birthday party.
Well, maybe working with Jackie soured her on ambition forever.
That could be it.
The thing I liked best about Happy Birthday was when basically Bert reads 100 books, so he gets from that the right to have any kind of birthday party he wanted to. Right. And so you figure he's going to do something outlandish, and his ambitions were so adorably small. I want both chocolate and vanilla. They could have got away so easy. Right. Had Kate not had this bee in her bonnet. Mm-hmm. And through this ridiculously large and elaborate party. Right. Which Bert at least enjoyed. It wasn't like you give the kid the big party and it's not what they wanted and they're not happy. Right. But he had a good time. Mm-hmm. But I felt both of these episodes were okay. They weren't anything special. Mm-hmm. They were. But I something I notice about this show is that once the plot gets going, it gets to a point where I go, I don't know if I want to watch this. I don't like where this is going. And then it either goes someplace else or it just, that plot line ends really quickly, or they're interspersing it with so many others that you never really dwell on any particular one. Mm-hmm. And so it's okay. I just got to hold on past that moment of discomfort. Right. And it's fine.
And there will be something else for you.
There's always a lot of balls in the air.
That is true.
So if you don't like one particular plot line, you can always just hold on for a minute. Mm-hmm. And what Fox Lunch had the one where the
karate thing?
Oh, they had the karate thing. Which one had the running? The mother-daughter running.
Maybe
I think it was that same one.
Yeah, I feel like they all...
Because the second one, Diane was getting the cake.
Right. And the Warren and Hillary story was about the surfer dancer guy.
Right.
Yeah, so I think those were all in Fox Lunch.
Yes. That was fun. So, yeah, see, there's always so much going on and so many plots and subplots that everything goes very fast.
Yes.
And they don't get too deep into any of them. Like, I expected mom's, where's our lunches and demanding their money back and lots of unpleasantness and embarrassment for Kate. But nah, you just kind of evaporate.
Right.
Nah, forget that business. On to the next.
Yeah. And similarly, like, I can't get hung up on the timeline of these things because it's extremely confusing. Like in the world of Kate and Jackie, it's like 2 a.m. and they're making lunches, but in the world of the boys and Pete, they're at the movies at like 4 p.m.
Right.
Like, I have to just close, just not think about that.
Yeah. And at some point, I thought they were pulling an all-nighter, except it was light outside. So wasn't it like last night that you said you were going to make these lunches, and shouldn't it? But then it was the next day. Yeah. You just let art wash over you, basically,
our
is the
usual
thing.
refrain.
And the whole soccer moms thing was pretty predictable. I figured it was Jackie who had started that rumor at some point. But they just seemed so unpleasant. Why would you want to be friends with them? Why would anybody want to be friends with them? But there was a plot line in Cougar Town that was very similar. I think it was Yoga Moms, and it was the character played by Ian Gomez, who's going to be in the thing we talk about for our challenge round. But he kind of was in the park with his kid, and they were all in the park with their kids, and he was jealous of it. And they kind of adopt him as a mascot, and he and then he realizes they're not very nice. So that's always the conclusion about soccer moms or yoga moms. Whatever cliquey little group of moms is on a blanket, and you wish you were there. It's not worth it. You're so much better than them. But they got awful really fast. That scene where she's in with them and then out with them,
it was
like that.
They showed their colors real quick so that she could move on.
They did, man. They didn't even milk it for a minute.
Yeah.
Nah.
So next time, well, we'll get to this, but it worked out for us because
we have a two-parter.
But shall we move on from the sunny Southern California of trophy life to the dark halls of the West Wing?
Yes. Speaking of difficult plots that you want to be over that don't just evaporate.
So this opener of season 5, say the title. The title 7AWF 83429. Which
rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
That is the code, the file name given to Zoey Bartlet's case now that she has disappeared.
My little girl is a number.
And it's rough. All this is rough. I sort of agreed with the West Wing Weekly that it didn't feel as far afield as everyone made it out to be from the Sorkin. I mean, maybe it's because they had to take what he left them and work with it.
Yeah, I think they also made a good point that the last 2 episodes were very action-oriented and not excessively Sorkin-y. You're not following up 2 cathedrals.
Right.
You're following up, something that was sort of uncharacteristic anyway. And so it allows you to be plot-driven without. And also, they have a completely new character in Walken, who I think is a good character and has a definite, who that guy is, and he has a definite presence, but they didn't have to be writing for him the way they would have written for. They didn't have to write big speeches for Bartlett, basically. Yet.
Right.
So that helps. I think all that helps. And I feel like, well, we'll see as we go through this season. The further we go, I remember more sort of Sorkin-y speeches that didn't quite hit it, or plot lines that didn't seem true to the characters. But that's a little here, as you say, they're cleaning up the mess that was left behind. So they've got a certain amount of propulsion that they're not really doing their own thing yet. And I thought it was nice, and they mentioned that John Wells did the first script so that nobody else could get dumped on.
Yeah, that was a nice thing for him to do and for them to mention. And, and I also thought that for being a live episode, this one was pretty good about having what we like in the podcast, you know, in terms of background stuff and, you know, here's what was going on and here's additional information versus the, like, teasing each other kind of goofy stuff that
definitely. Maybe they listened to that last episode and thought, you know what, we got to dial it back.
Right. Although there wasn't, you know, again, like Ron Klain, he had a few things that he contributed, but they kind of left him, they kind of shut him out a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. What I really wanted to know was what was that transition like for the actors, which they got into pretty good. And they very carefully were respectful and supportive of John Wells, who, you know, can still give them jobs. So it's like you don't want to go dump on anybody if you're a working actor.
No, and you know, I think he's good at his job, John Wells.
Yeah, it's just this was such a, for the first 4 seasons, it was such a specific voice of one writer.
One person, yeah.
And you're never going to be able to duplicate that. Mm. So a lot of people ditched out or, you know, sharpened their pencils for the rest of it, you know, and were ready to pick up every little flaw.
Right.
So I don't know that I felt that way too much. There's one particular plot line that we'll get to, not even this season, I don't think, that I think ran false for a lot of people. But anyway, but this episode was, you know, had its own sort of engine to it and worked pretty well. One thing that seemed odd to me, and I don't know if it was just a different person writing her or what, I completely get Abby being ticked off that this decision he's made as president put her daughter in peril. She could absolutely freeze him out, be furious at him, but you didn't talk to me about this sensitive national security thing, and that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
How, you know, please show me your clearance, dear. You can't, they can't discuss things like this, and she in the past has kind of known that when there's been a national security thing going on. She's acknowledged that, you know, you can't share this with me. I know it's very difficult for you. We'll talk about it, you know, if you want to talk about it later or whatever, even when she's been angry about things.
Right.
So that seemed a little false. Yeah. Like, she would have framed that a different way, I think.
But you did get
your decision, not ours. Well, it couldn't have been ours.
Yes, right. It was never going to be
you know,
yours.
they won't let you in the sit room, honey. Yeah.
It did give that nice moment between Bartlett and Ellie.
Yes.
So
that was very sweet.
Very sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, I think to you on Facebook, the part that just got me was Charlie sitting out in the hall, just
oh, poor Charlie.
Oh, I mean, the guilt on that poor guy.
Yeah. Now, the thing that got me weepy, maybe because you had warned me about that moment, the thing that got me weepy was at the end with the memorial to Zoe, all the people putting the candles and the flowers, and that music, which we now learned has no actual lyrics, just somebody going, "Woo!" And but it was very effective in the moment.
Yes, for sure.
That was good, and you know, there are various points at which I thought, you know what, I don't want to watch this. But again, as with Trophy Wife, I guess it didn't always turn out the same way. I was trying to remember if CJ was going to get yelled at for telling Danny, and you know, Walken just kind of acknowledged it.
Right, like, just so
we both know what happened.
I know that you did this, but
yes, and you have my dog's hair on your butt, so we're even. Right. But very good performance by John Goodman. You know, you could have seen somebody much more weaselly come in and take that job. As I guess, how do you pronounce his name? Željko Ivanek is the weaselly part of that administration, as is his niche in the acting community. But Walken did seem kind of presidential.
I had to agree with Donna there.
Yeah. And you know what? You can say he's overreaching on various things, but he gave up his job to do this. He doesn't get to go back to being speaker when it's over. Right. So, you know, it's hard to begrudge him, but really keep your dog out of the Oval Office, man. That ain't right.
We are dog people, but
but even so, like they were saying, he should just like at least wait a week, you know?
Right. I did, and it was very interesting what Klain said about how if Walken appoints a vice president, then he puts himself out of a job.
Yeah. So he's not going to be rushing to do that, presumably.
Right.
So what do you think is going to happen from here?
I don't know. I don't want to say because then I'll feel stupid if I'm wrong. So, I don't know.
Either way, Elizabeth Moss goes on to have a very fine career.
That is true.
So. Whether it includes more episodes of The West Wing or not.
Right.
I didn't realize that Annabeth Gish hadn't been on before this, right? As the other Bartlett daughter?
No, they had never showed... They had mentioned her.
But
they had never shown her.
That is interesting. I did not realize that until just now. And boy, she seemed to be... It was not an auspicious debut for her, I didn't think. Mm-hmm. She had the I don't know, Ellie, in the previous times we've seen her, has not felt that she's her father's favorite, but she definitely seemed to be on Team Dad a little bit in this, whereas
Elizabeth certainly did not.
Elizabeth's, yes, so... But I made it through this episode. Did. If I made it through this episode, I can make it through the next. Whether I'll make it through episode 5, which is the one I skipped the first time through, I do not know, but I shall try.
Okay. Well, we'll just continue to check in with you each week.
We interrupt this podcast to remind you to please consider the free Radio Public app for all your Parenting Roundabout listening needs. If you listen to our podcast on the app, we'll get paid a little for each listen, and more if you listen a lot.
It's a great way to financially support our podcast without having to actually spend, money. Now on to our challenge round. Let's move on to back to the fluffy, lighter fare, which was my challenge to you, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
Yes. Now, it's been 14 years since the first one?
This one came out in 2016, and the other one, I believe, came out in 2002.
Okay, but their daughter is 17.
True.
So in the world of the characters, I guess it's been more years than that. Which seemed odd to me.
Yeah.
But
I didn't really think about that. But
I mean, just that a sequel, it was a long time later for a sequel.
Yeah.
I guess you had to allow for people being older, but I'm kind of wondering what happened in the intervening 17 years. I would like to see.
Right.
Got up a few times. Could we have had like a flashback?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
know. Flashback.
Maybe not.
There. Although I guess at the very end of number 1, you get kind of a flash forward to where the little girl is like 6 or 7.
Oh, see, I totally didn't remember that. I should have watched the first one again.
Yeah, that would have been fun, but I didn't get a chance. Yeah,
because this really felt like the sort of thing where there's a TV show that's on for a long time, and you watched the first season, and then you didn't watch it, and then it's like the season 10, you pop back in, and you kind of remember the characters, but the relationships are all kind of the same, but, kids are grown up, and everybody's kind of settled into a shtick, and if you've been watching it for 10 years, you understand what that is, and if you haven't, it's been like, okay, right. Well, I kind of remember that, so, it felt like they've been doing this for 14 years, and I'm just catching up, but they're assuming people remember a lot of stuff from 14 years ago.
I'm terrible at
not plot points, but characterizations.
Yeah, I'm terrible at remembering things like that, and like I read some about number 1 after I watched number 2, just because like I said, I'm terrible at remembering these things. And, like, I didn't remember that in the first one, the grandpa was, like, telling you how every word could be traced back to Greek. And so he was doing that in the first one, he did that in this one, and now his grandsons are doing it, like, with the word chimichanga.
Yeah, it's kind of like a greatest hits.
It's Greek.
Yeah. Remember how much you enjoyed this the first time?
We're bringing it back.
Here's some more.
Right.
Well... Yeah, it just seemed like everybody doing a reprise, but if you don't remember the first time, it's, okay. Yeah, perfectly fine.
Yeah, enjoyable way to pass 94 minutes or whatever. Yes.
The daughter seemed to go back and forth between deploring her family and kind of loving them. Was that, like, consistent with, was she supposed to be sort of parallel to her mom in the first movie? I really can't remember.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also that's just very teenage girl thing to do. So.
It is. But it seemed a little, I would expected her to stay in the hate a little more solidly than, you know, like when the guy says he's in the prom car, says he's Greek, and she actually smiles
instead of...
Yeah, but instead she goes, oh boy!
Yes.
Just like my grandpa once, and I rolled my eyes at. But she took off the dark eyeliner, so I guess that means she's decided to throw in her lot with her family. She does go away to college.
It was sweet, the whole, you know, what's the word, montage of her at the prom and the wedding and...
Right. Yes.
You know, the secret second wedding that was happening in the back room. So it was very sweet.
Yeah, that was sweet.
It was enjoyable.
Not a bad way to pass an evening. And I got it from the library, so
and I watched it
was
free.
Plane.
So
good plane entertainment.
Definitely.
Goes down easy, but if you have to stop it for a little while,
you're not gonna get too lost.
Jump back in.
Yeah.
I stopped it for dinner, went back to it.
So tell me what our next challenge is going to be.
Yeah. So for our next challenge, we have been enjoying Natalie Morales on Trophy Wife as Kate's friend Meg. And before that, we enjoyed her on Parks and Rec as Tom's girlfriend and later wife. And she's going to have a sitcom coming up this next season, and I was looking at the description, and it mentioned that she had been in White Collar, which is a show that I watched, at least in the early seasons, which is when she was on it, and I had absolutely no memory of her being on it at all. So I went back to Netflix, and sure enough, she is there for like maybe 7 episodes. So just for fun, just to see her in a completely different venue, a procedural rather than a sitcom. We're going to watch the second episode of the first season of White Collar, which is called Threads, and it introduces her character. White Collar, since you've never seen any of it, I will read the description of it from USA. And this is pretty much all you have to know to enjoy the episode. White Collar focuses on the unlikely partnership. So it's one of those. It's one of those unlikely partnership between a straight-laced blank and a free-spirited blank. Focus on the unlikely partnership between the very intelligent and charming con artist, Neil Caffrey, and the hardworking and earnest FBI agent, Peter Burke. In exchange for his freedom, and on the condition that he wear an ankle bracelet at all times, Caffrey provides his expertise in thievery to Burke and his agents, to help them catch other elusive white-collar criminals. So there is some sort of continuing subplot about Neil's girlfriend, Kate, and what happened to her. She disappeared, and he's trying to investigate that sort of on the side, and that comes into this episode a little bit. But really, it's, USA procedurals, you can pretty much just let wash right over you. They're very enjoyable and don't need too much backstory. So anyway, everybody out there, watch with us, especially if you have Netflix. And it looks like maybe it's on USA.com also, USAnetwork.com. Season 1, Episode 2. And enjoy with us Natalie Morales in a non-sitcom part.
There we go.
And very, very, very tight dresses.
See, also,
she got tired of... Yes. After 7 episodes, she got tired of holding her breath. And she said, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do comedy. But... Anyway, so what else will we be watching next week?
Yeah, so Threads from White Collar and episodes 16 and 17 of Trophy Wife. This is The Wedding, parts 1 and 2. And The West Wing has a title that we can more easily say. It's called The Dogs of War.
Alrighty.
And that's going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Terri.
Bye, Catherine.
Goodbye, everyone.